Oh my goodness. All right, so here we are.
Here we
Hey,
are. Hey,
coffee with Ro.
I've been unwinding a lot of my shit, to be quite frank, and realize all the ways I have been spiritually bypassing myself for the last 40 years, which was a really hard pit to swallow, but true, and I think it's given me a lot more wholeness. I can't say it's rainbows and butterflies, but it's more
No,
real.
it's never rainbows and butterflies, but I like what you say, wholeness.
Mm.
You know,
Hmm.
one teacher would always say you can't be whole if any part of you is still fragmented.
Yeah.
And a big part of the work that we did in the fall, last fall,
Hmm.
was calling back the different parts of us.
Yeah.
So that's why when I hear you say like, you know, it's not rainbows and butterflies, because it really never is.
Oh, I think for me, it was like it stemmed all from like a core wound of like never feeling like I was enough and the need to be perfect. I became praised for that. Oh, Mary, you get good grades. Mary, everything's easy for you. Oh, you have like everybody would build me up for all the masks I wore. And so you just start to
And it
think that's
works.
who you are. Yeah, it works until it doesn't. And then in those moments of like stillness, when you're like, wow, I'm not feeling present in my life. Like because you're constantly changing the masks and the clothes for every room you walk in. And, I knew really, I could read a room in like 5 minutes and know exactly who I needed to be and what I needed to say and how I needed to do it. And it's always been something that I prided myself on. Like I'm a chameleon, I'm flexible, I can go with the flow. And, I built myself up and people built me up too for that. And then I realized like, that is actually what's killing me is the fact that I got so disconnected from who I really was that I didn't even realize that that wasn't me. Like I thought I was my mask. And when people would say, I think even when you said to me, show up as you are, I'm like, I am. Like this is me, but it's not. And like right now, like as I'm like dismantling it all and like figuring out like what is real, it's like it is really hard for the people around me because they're like, all of a sudden you're changing. And like the truth is I'm actually not changing. I'm just
Well, you're returning, right?
Yeah, exactly. And so there's a lot more peace, but a lot more, and even the sadness and the grief that I feel is not as
Wait,
heavy.
let's slow down. Hold on, wait. All right, we're getting somewhere
Sorry.
here.
You're t-
We're
you're
getting
catching
somewhere.
me
So
amidst a midlife breakdown. So I'm
I love this. I love what you're saying.
sorry.
Um, and I kind of want to pause here, and I have
Yeah.
this all recorded too, by the way.
Oh,
Um,
okay. Does it see me trying to fix my computer and get on? Should
Oh,
I
it's going to
just?
see everything because it's
Oh,
coffee with Row. I mean, it's like, look, it's
okay.
unscripted. I'm trying to print the script right now. I had a last minute phone call. I was like, shit, I got a Zoom call at 2.
Well, this is life, honestly. This is the real stuff. Like this is what happens, it's
It is, and
messy.
that's what I want people to understand. And this is what really separate, in my view. Now, other studios might do it. I don't know, but I know that when you guys come in to gratitude, that you're going to be met with authenticity. It's like, here I am, like this is me. Like I'm
Mm,
not perfect, and are the rest of us. But it's not about perfection, it's about
hmm.
presence.
Yes.
So one of the things that you said, and I just wanted to like, because I'm sure people reading this, watching this, are going to might have a similar reaction or response.
Hmm.
You said that you were like a chameleon,
Mm.
and that you can read the room, and then you can put the mask on that you really want. When I heard you say that, I was like, that's a fucking strength. Like, don't ever lose that. You know how many people don't even like, but and then later on in in your narrative there, what you just said, you then said, but I lost myself in that. And then you
Yeah,
said,
because when you're too busy giving yourself up for other people's experience and wanting to control whether they're happy or sad or pleased or displeased, then then you lose authenticity because I'm just trying to serve and the people pleaser in me is just trying to make sure everybody is having an experience that is good for them. And it's not my job to control their experience. It's to serve the community and to be within my own vibration of like what am I moving through and how do I just trust that what I'm moving through is what they need to hear or not, like, just trust the flow of the universe as opposed to trying to control it and control people's feelings. I mean, I spent my whole life giving away the authority for my own life based on other people's expectations my whole life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, of course, I'm not telling you to like go back to it. What I'm picking up is that and what I heard, maybe I heard it differently. I heard that you're able to move into a room and serve different needs. I look at that as a skill set where you're able to do that. I think you used the word chameleon, like you're able to like change around and do that. But then I heard you say
Yeah.
something like, well, then I lost myself in that. So I think that's like psychologists call that a level of intelligence. Many people don't have that ability. So an intelligence is being able to like, you have like spiritual intelligence and you have musical intelligence. Some people don't know the difference between Beethoven or Mozart. Some do, like, oh, that's a Beethoven sonata. Oh, that's a Mozart, whatever. And you also have that level of intelligence to be able to read a room. So and you also talk about wholeness. And what the practice at gratitude does is it helps us with that wholeness by, yes, that's one level, one line of intelligence, but now you start coming back to yourself. So now you have that richness. You have the ability to read a room, but you also, what I hear you saying is that you now know yourself at a deeper level that you're able to discern, like, I'm not going to give, I'm going to put up a boundary, not a wall, but a boundary to be able to say, wow, and choose more. And I think choice is everything. How does that sit with you? Am I interpreting you correctly, or is it
Yeah,
just
I mean, I guess I'm
our
thinking more of like the chameleon in terms of like leading a yoga class. Like it might be the person that, looks like they're not being worked hard enough or looks like they're being worked too hard. And then switching the flow of my class to accommodate the person because then I think you're not serving the whole. I think I would get caught up in this individual, like read and then, the room is filled with different people with different needs. So I think learning how to offer modifications, but stay like in this is my sequence and this is like what I'm trying to
okay.
do in this class.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
you're speaking of the context of a yoga, like a yoga class. Like I what
Yeah.
I heard you saying was professionally. Like,
Ah, okay. Yeah. I was talking about yoga, but yes, professionally too. I mean, and if you think about it in that context, I've nailed my career because of it. Absolutely.
fucking A.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm like, you are
Yes.
like
Yeah.
I remember we went out to coffee with Ro over at the Starbucks, and you're like a Tyron, you look like
Yeah.
the consummate professional,
Oh yeah.
woman professional. And I was like, this woman's got her shit together,
Hmm.
and you do. But
Yes.
now you're discovering a lot more through the practice. Yeah, I
And
just
how those can both exist. For a while it made me, as I was going through my spiritual awakening, call it if you want, but like it made me really feel like, am I who I am in my profession? Because I am wearing these masks. And I think where I landed was, yeah, I'm getting paid to do a job, and that's the role I'm playing, is to influence the market and, be in these rooms where I show up and I can read the room and I can, drive sales for the company. So for a little bit that was in conflict because I'm like, I want to be, with integrity and be whole and not be like salesy. And sometimes, you need both. So I think I was in these like kind of like this pendulum swing, and I'm like, it doesn't need to be either or, it's just end. And like depending on like what room you're in, like in my yoga, when I'm in the yoga space, I do feel like this clear channel of authenticity, like in presence. Like I don't always feel like that in all the roles I play. It's different.
I can relate. I mean, I've been called a salesman. I've been called, a salesman, and I'm
Mm.
like, but everything is a sale. Like whenever you come to yoga class, I got to sell you that you're here on purpose. I have to sell you on, and I have to influence you on coming back again. And I have to sell you on, putting something online and telling your friend to come in. So it's
Mm,
always a sale. But the thing is I would always say, like, I'm not like trying to sell an Eskimo a fan. But what
right.
we're selling is like we're selling what you and I are talking about: mental, emotional, spiritual, and physical growth. Um, but it's interesting that you say that because I love this because this is not scripted. This isn't where I was going. I have the things here. And I'm like, okay, we're not using them. But let's go with what you just said. Like, was there a moment because that wasn't your stance when we first met about 2 years ago? So was there a moment? I mean, where was it? Was it in a practice? Because when we started, I mean, we said we haven't really talked, which we haven't, but I see you online. I watch your posts. I'm like, look at this woman. Like this woman. is is like a more full whole person than what I knew. So
Yeah, for
I'm just
sure.
curious, like, was it, I mean, can you, and maybe it's not one moment, maybe it's just an evolution, but you look back, I mean, has the yoga helped? Are you processing old stuff? Like, tell me.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's been since I got certified to be a yoga teacher in 2020, 2021. I started to connect with people in the room that I was not feeling like I had in my real life. And I was talking about things I wasn't talking about in my real life. And so it felt like this imposter syndrome. Like here I was with people I had known for like a week, like unpacking stuff I hadn't unpacked or even said out loud ever. So that was the beginning. And then my brother passed away in 2022. So that was like the catalyst again, like, just deep grief and looking at like people, obviously impermanence, we're all going to die. Like, what am I doing? How am I living? Am I happy? And similar to Alice, I know she had coffee with you, but that would have been a great one for me. It's on paper, my life is it's what it's I mean, it's picture perfect. It is. It's like these, the big Sudbury house, the summer
It
home,
is.
great
You have a
car,
handsome husband.
kids, the handsome
He does
husband.
yoga.
Yeah, all of it, all of it. And I had to really ask myself, like, is this the life I really want? And, I'm navigating that right now, but the truth is it's really not. Like do I like beautiful things? Absolutely. Like I've always been into fashion and like wanting to be put together and loving to express, but it's not like I'm dressing to impress. Like I dress to express. Like, and I've always loved to like, what do I want to express? Like, is it fun earrings? Is it color? Is it like, what's my mood? And I've always, even as a little girl, I've always been into that. So it's not that I don't like those things, but the materialistic side of things got so big. And the more, the bigger the castle got, like the smaller and smaller and smaller until like I felt like I didn't even like know who I was. Like, my husband and I didn't even talk about anything that wasn't about a vacation or about what we were buying next. And then in October, I went on a retreat to teach yoga in Spain. And we were in a group, and somebody asked me, I was like not speaking a lot, which isn't normal for me because everyone's sharing. And uh, they said like, what are you so afraid to say? And I was like, I just got super emotional. I said that I feel like there's no space and like not there's no space for me to tell the world how deeply unhappy I am in this perfect life. And I was like, and that was just forget it. And then glass started shattering around me, wine glasses, candles, like literally every time I walked into a room, glass would just shatter. And I felt like it was like a complete like once the genie was out of the bottle, like it was just out. And I was like, I need to make some serious changes. Like I don't feel present with my kids. I don't feel connected to my husband. I don't feel happy. I feel like I'm on the hamster wheel of life, like completely moving from one thing to the next, like never really landed. And so then that became, I got deeply into, I started to study energy work, a lot of somatics, do a lot of breath work. And I started to just share a lot of stuff on social media of like what I was moving through. And, some people think I'm crazy. I'm having a midlife crisis. It's a
You
nervous
are.
breakdown.
You
I mean,
are.
maybe.
It's an exit, but here's the thing, it's an existential crisis. It's, as I mentioned, you have quarter life, midlife. I mean, it's the archetypal journey that we all go through. That we're taught to look outwards at that material, and you work hard at that, you get it. But then it's like, well, what's going on inside of me? So this is a natural, it's a
Mm,
query. You're like, who am I? And
yeah.
that's the whole premise of yoga. Who am I? And as you start to go into energy work, you realize your energy, the pranama, and then you go into meditation, you realize you're not your thoughts. Like,
Mm,
and then you go into shadow work, and you realize how much you've been carrying around, and then you get into your physical body, and then this is the evolution of a teacher, in my opinion. And like you said, it's not rainbows and butterflies. There's still some, would you say a pit? You were using a metaphor of like a pit or something. Like there's still something there because it doesn't really ever end in my research. It's continuing. And that's why it's like it's a real pleasure to sit with you and be with this evolution of Mary. Um, and so you were saying it started with yoga, then your brother passed away, then you went on this retreat. Were you teaching on that retreat in Spain?
yeah, and that was hard too because I was serving, and then all of a sudden here I am in this space having my own experience, and I realized that I've never actually given myself the space to have my own experience. Like I'm so busy trying to help and heal other people. And that's kind of where the spiritual bypassing came in. Like, I feel like I would always claim to be like, I'm so enlightened. Like, I know I do all this work. I've been practicing yoga since high school. Like, I meditate. Like, let me help you. Let me help you. And it was like, I was there in these moments, and then like the lows would be so low, but the truth was I wasn't unpacking any of my stuff like at all. Like I wasn't looking at like the fact that I was people pleasing, the fact that I felt like I needed to be perfect to be loved. Like I never felt like I was good enough, so I would just work really hard to be the perfect version of what somebody wanted me to be, so I would feel worthy of the love, of the attention, of all of it. And so once I really sat with that, like really sat with it, like didn't go for a run, didn't go to, honestly, even yoga. Sometimes I would go to yoga when things were hard, and it was escapism. It wasn't really to,
Well, it
it was to
works.
move away.
It does work. I mean,
Yeah,
yoga
yeah,
meets you where you
but
want.
if you're there, I think now when I practice yoga, I'm not looking around the room. Like I'm not
Oh,
looking for the
that's
perfect posture. Like I'm truly listening to my body, and I don't even know who's in the room
and
until
that's
like
why
the
your numbers are growing at Sudbury. The people want to be around that because you're present. You're
yes.
presencing them now more. So, the old saying, like, you can't give what you don't have. You were trying to really give, but you didn't have it yourself. And that psychologists call that cognitive dissonance. It's like what's going on inside of us and what we present. So as we
Mm,
start to align the conscious with subconscious, you start to realize, you start to own your piece, like you're saying. You start to feel your body more. And now you're not really looking outwards at the exterior, but there's a more internal. And people feel that vibration
yes.
and they want to be around that. So you're not only healing yourself, but you're also on the continuum of creating the space for the students. And I couldn't be more proud of you because it's like that's precisely what we're trying to create a gratitude. And that's what the yoga industry needs, in my view.
Hmm.
This is like it's gotten so far away from what you're just beautifully articulating that it frustrates me. And I almost want, I sit here because I'm in North Carolina, you know my story, but I moved down here and I'm like, I almost want to move back up and like just get in there and start to move the people. But I have a mission here with the studios here. Um, so that's good to hear. But was there like a particular, I don't know, was there a moment? Was there is there an aha moment that, made you like a tipping point, if you can identify it?
Honestly, just I think about my kids. I was watching my older son with the same perfectionism issues that I had. I was watching him. I was watching the way he watched me when something would happen in the house I was not in agreement with, and I would just shut down. And then I would make eye contact with him, and I would see how me not claiming my sovereignty was showing him it's okay. And I couldn't watch that. It was like this moment of like heartbreak where I saw this mirror of me as at his age, like seeing the same thing in my own family when my mom would, shut down. And I think there's no blame. Like for a while, people are like, who are you upset? I'm like, not upset with anybody. I was so deeply disconnected that I didn't even realize I had a voice. I was like, it's just easier to just say nothing. But it was such a betrayal and self-abandonment to myself because I did have an opinion, and I am also a parent, and I let, my husband sort of take the lead on everything because he did it really well, and he's strong alpha male, really good at most things. I mean, literally practically everything. And yeah, I realized like I have a voice too, and I want my kids to see what it looks like to be present and to be a woman that has an opinion. And I don't even know how I didn't realize I didn't for so many years. I think I was just, again, go with the flow, Mary. Like people would say, Mary, you're so chill. Like you're so chill. Like, you just go with the flow. And I'm like, yeah, I am pretty chill. I don't really care about much. But that was a defense mechanism because I didn't want to feel my feelings. Because let me just tell you, once I started feeling my feelings, like shit got real,
Yeah.
real. Like I
Well,
couldn't stop.
that's a great point. And one of the reasons why in in the gratitude way is in our narrative, we want to make sure that we let people know when you come to practice in the way that we do at gratitude, and arguably it's different. because we're encouraging people the integration phase to welcome the body you brought to practice, to feel, to experience. We're literally asking them to do what you're telling us. They're going to start to feel. So then what? What do you do then? And that's why what's one of the reasons why I wanted to create these, these conversations and create something outside of the yoga room, because people always say, I'm an open vessel now. I'm feeling, what do I do?
Yeah.
So how do you reclaim your, little Mary, the little
Hmm.
Mary that was looking at mom and shut down like mom? How do you reclaim that, which you've been doing beautifully? It's a rhetorical question. Because when people come into the yoga mat at gratitude, you're stirring all that stuff up in people. Um, and it's a great point that you're saying, like when you started feeling your feelings, they started really coming up. And that's a lot of what's called unfinished business, and you've been
Yeah.
addressing that in real time and owning it. I mean, I'm just you're really like unpacking things very quickly, and I'm just trying to stay with you. The parenting piece I can relate with tremendously. You see your son, and then you see the mirror of that, but then you have the wherewithal to stop and say, whoa, I see that. I can relate because I see my son kind of like acting in certain when I'm acting in a unresourceful way. So
Hmm.
I want to be the change I want to see in my kids. And
Yeah.
that's the whole thing. And Gandhi's
And that's wholeness. That's what I mean when I say wholeness. It's like I want to be so integrated with all the disintegrated parts of me that have been cut off. And, it's like when I can bring that in and just hold all of that in present awareness. Like when I'm having a bad day and things are hard, I just say that to my son now. I say, you know what, mom is having it's a tough day. Like I'm feeling a little like, just icky in my belly, like my head hurts. Like I just instead of just I'm fine. Mom is fine. Everything's fine. What do you need? Tell me what you need. Like, I think that was the old me trying to be like, I don't want them to see me in pain. I don't want them to see the hurt. I want to protect them from what's real. But like now I want them to understand that it's okay because I also see how my older son is in is not really able to feel his feelings. And he is constantly trying to do what other people want and need because he's like, that's what makes me happy when other people are happy. And I literally would say the same thing when I was his age. I just want everyone else to be happy. And it's like, I'll say to him over and over again, what do you want? And it takes him a while to really figure out what he wants because he's 12 and, or he'll be 12 and he's not really used to doing that. Even like what he wants for dinner or where he wants to go for lunch or where, what he wants for his birthday. Those are all things that it sounds like it would be easy, but when you're conditioned to think to people please and to want this level of perfection, you quickly forget about what you really want and you just externally are looking at validation for everything, for all of it.
well, I mean, I have absolute confidence in you, Mary. Your kids are like what you're doing by doing your own work and really searching for it. Like he might not get it right now, but it's like anything else. You teach him, he'll get it.
Mm.
And I have absolute confidence in you, and I know you're going to be able to. You and your husband are beautiful people. You're sincere people. You're doing the work, and these candid conversations to the people who are watching this. That's why I want it to be like real, not like, well, everything's fine. I have a perfect triangle pose, and no, nothing's fine. Because I've had some feedback from some people being like, oh my God, these people are a mess. And I'm like, guys, welcome to the fucking club. Like, this is real. It's not like we're a mess. It's just like we're being honest with ourselves.
Yeah.
We're calling back the shadows. We're doing our work. I'd much rather be real like that. So thank you for that. Um, so let me just go sort of line by line here. I don't know if you were able to review the emails. They're going out next week.
Yeah.
But Tuesday I say the problem, Wednesday is the science behind the problem, and then Thursday is like a solution. It's not the only solution. But the problem is comparison. And I think it's perfect with what we're doing here. Like, and the journey or the injury that doesn't show up on an X-ray. So my first question is, have you ever caught yourself comparing your yoga practice to someone else in the room, their body, their flexibility, their poses, and what did it feel like? It's like a stupid question. It's what we all do.
Yeah, I think in the beginning of my practice, for sure. Like, I think I was always looking for that how do I get better? How do I do more? How do I improve? And so if there was somebody in the room that I could look to for inspiration, 100%. I never got like super caught up in it. Like for me, it was really about the pose. I wanted to do the pose perfectly. I wanted to understand how to, yeah, just the perfect expression of the pose. So if somebody was there, I might look to them like I would the teacher.
Well,
Um,
that's I think that's a healthy expression of that. So you're not really comparing yourself. But I do the
yeah.
same thing. I look over and I'm like, oh, look at how she's pulling her hip back. I'm like, and then I do it.
Yes.
I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
there it is.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I don't I personally, and I'm not like better than, anybody else here, but I agree with you. Like I never really looked at someone else and said that. Early on I did. I did it to Baron
Mhm.
Baptiste. I compared myself, but that was so unconscious. But I think what you and I are talking about is a conscious, and I think it's a healthy way.
Mhm.
I encourage students to look around. I said, look at the way you see how her hips coming back. So if you
Mhm.
can look at someone and say, oh, that's the way, like if you're crossing over a river and then there's like a slippery rock and then a slippery, and then you say, no, no, step here, not there. I think that that's really powerful to do. Has comparison ever stopped you from doing something you knew you wanted or needed to do?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, yeah. It has for me. Um, I've got a bunch of buddies who are very successful at things, and I would compare myself to them. And then I wouldn't. So, for instance, starting this school platform, uh, for the longest time, I'm sitting here going, well, I don't have enough information. I'm not as popular as like Baron Baptiste or I don't know, some other guy or gal on YouTube or whatever. So my comparison to them kind of held me back.
Mhm.
And in 2 weeks, we've got 20 people signed up for school. And I'm like, wow, like 20 fucking people. Let's go. But yeah, so personally, that like I've comparison has held me back because once I started doing this, I'm like, holy shit, it's working. Look at the emails I'm getting. Look at the open rate I'm getting. So, have you ever had a student you could see was comparing themselves to everyone else in the room? And what did you notice?
Not I have students that I notice that are not present and are looking yeah, I guess, but I think it's just bringing them back to like their sensations in their body, like feel your feet on the ground, like notice what, is happening when you're twisting or like look up to your right hand, like just bringing them back into the body so that they can get out of the looking at other people. But I don't
Yeah.
notice it so much at gratitude anymore. I feel like most of the students are pretty present in their practice.
And because of saying that, that's a big part of the gratitude way. It's about taking your attention. That's why we don't do the poses, is like everything that informs the gratitude way is so people can get into their body. But again, if there's a healthy way of sort of looking over there at Mary and going, oh wow, look at the way Mary's doing it. And then and have that be an inspiration, as you put it, it's really
Yeah.
not comparison. Um, so basically, the reason why you're observing what I see as well is because inherent in our narrative, we're asking people to care for your body, scale it down, develop personal agency, scale it up, right? Take rest when you need it. It's not about performance, it's about presence.
Yes.
So your words, your narrative, and I mean, everyone says it in their own way, but we're all informed by that, and that's probably why we're seeing it. So yeah, that's the problem, and it is a big problem in students. Pretty much like over the years, I've seen a lot of that, and I just do it because of, and I want to share it because for me personally, with the Barron story. So the science behind it, have you ever scrolled through social media and felt genuinely worse afterward, less motivated, less confident? And what does that feel like in your body?
I mean, honestly, I guess I read that question and I wanted to say yes, because I feel like most people do feel that way. But I think for me, coming from this place of I have everything I ever thought I wanted,
Yeah.
it never felt like that. If anything, yeah, I felt like I was the one putting things out that were not really authentic. Like here I am on a beach with smiles. Here I am on a boat. Here I am down my Cape House. Here I am. And in all those moments, if I'm being totally real, why was the need to post that as opposed to living it and being it? And so here I am. And it wasn't even to prove to people or to show people all the things I had. It was to prove to myself I'm happy, because I wasn't really happy. I was just going through these motions, but each thing was just leading to a new thing. And if I thought about what that would look like in true happiness, it would have been no phone and no fluff and no, it would have just been present awareness. It would have been feeling the ocean on my toes. It would have been lying on the sand. It would have been laughing with my kids. Presence, exactly. And so I thought about that a bit differently. I never felt less than looking at social media. I think I was the one sort
Well,
of.
that's why we have coffee with Roe. I want to know your perspective. That's a great perspective, and I think a lot of people that are going to watch this can relate. I can relate. That's why I don't really. I mean, the posts are less. That's why coffee with Roe. Yes, it's coffee with Roe, but it's not about me. I want to learn about you. I want to learn about Alice. I want people to say like gratitude. A quick story. Back when I started with Baron Baptiste, and I think everyone knows that. And I was so inspired by this guy. Like, look at them, look at the way he holds himself, look at his yoga poses, look at all the people in his class. I come from a place of incredible insecurity, incredible, I was bullied, never, it was just horrible. And I don't want to get into it, but my point is that I was super inspired about it. And when I first started, I met with a publicist, a prominent publicist in the Boston area. And she's like, all right, Ro, she's one of my clients, and she saw something in me. And she's like, you have something special. And she's like, but you got to call your yoga studio Ro Yoga or Roman Yoga. And I stopped and I'm like, well, but it really isn't about me. It's about what this is doing for people. Now, this many years later, I realized like it is about me, but I was insecure. I wasn't able to own that part. So I kind of pushed that away and I made it about everyone else. And that's what made Inner Strength so popular when it was open. When we closed in 2018. And I think, were you a part of Inner Strength at all or no? So the
Oh
Inner
yeah.
Strength that was over in this in
Yeah.
this very studio. And I think it was the Watertown studio, if I'm not mistaken, that was like the last one to close down during the shutdowns because it had such roots, it had such soul. And it was because I didn't make it about Ro. It wasn't Roman yoga. So the publicist was like, you got to make it about, it has to be called Roman yoga. And I said, no, we're going to call it Inner Strength. But, this many years later, I look back on that. But, this isn't about me. This is authentically about what you guys are doing. I kind of lost my train of thought, what my point was. But anyways, you're following me.
Yeah.
It's one of those days. I had a good story there. But we'll pick up the trail. I'm gonna have
Yeah,
to
you'll
edit this.
figure,
I'm
yeah,
gonna have to
better
edit this
later.
piece. So, anyways, we can all relate, whether it's the social posts. That's why I don't post it about me. I think that's why we were talking.
Yeah, that is where you're
You
going. Yep.
realize that it wasn't really about, it was about look at how happy I am and so on. And
Yeah.
it's social media can be really slippery because there's a term psychologists call it narcissistic. It's like all about
Mm,
me.
yeah.
And it is a fine line. So that's one of the reasons why I wanted to promote my team, because what makes gratitude so special are the people who represent it, hold the torch, and also the students who come in and find value in what we're doing and are healing, like
Yeah.
what you and I are talking about.
And I did create a second handle on my Instagram. It's called Ground with Grace. And
Yeah,
that is
I
the
saw that.
platform. Yeah, that's the platform that I really share when I'm walking through, like so vulnerable. So, just like unscripted, like I just get on like messy, just like this is what I is deep within me in this moment. And it feels so good because certain people will send me messages and they're like, what you said really just hit my heart. And even people that won't publicly comment, that will just message sort of privately, because and you'll see that, like, it's like people are not as comfortable in some cases to publicly say, oh, that aligns, or I feel that, because it's could be a little scary. But I feel like the more I can be real and feel whole, the more I'm in alignment, like the more I'm magnetizing in people and situations that are in true alignment with my soul, rather than being magnetic and with the mask on, right? And then you're calling in all this stuff to these versions of you that aren't really within, they're not in alignment. And so I think, the second handle really helped me to figure out like, this is who I am. And yeah, there's relationships that are going to morph and die, and that's okay, because then there's these new relationships that are going to kind of come in. And even when things don't work out, it doesn't mean that person's wrong and I'm right, or vice versa. It just means like it's not in alignment with what's real for me right now. But I think if
Mhm.
everybody could just figure out what's real for them, like what is true for them, and be that, then that's kind of the vibration that you're in, and that's what you're attracting back into you. And I feel like that's what I've been trying to unpack in my classes lately, is just asking questions that are helping people to be curious what comes up, like sit with it, like feel into it, like what's real for you in this moment. And like if we can ask those questions more, then people will just feel that wholeness, as opposed to like this society that we live in that tells people who they need to be, what they need to look like, what they need to say, and what they need to do to be successful, and what success is.
Yeah.
But
Well, Tony Robbins has a saying that he says, you have the the science of achievement and the art of fulfillment. So you have mastered achievement, the
yes.
science of it. Like there's, school and professionalism and setting goals, and there's a science behind it. But now what I hear you saying is you're now expressing the art of fulfillment with ground with grace, which by the way, people watching this, I always call you Mary. I don't ever call you Mary Grace, but what do people call you in your life?
Yeah, it's interesting. I am married my whole life, but I've been pulling in the Grace. My middle name is Grace, and I'm named for both my grandparents. And through a lot of the work that I've been doing, the somatic work, I felt like very connected to my grandmother Grace,
Good.
very much so. And so
Yeah,
I've just been called to pull it in. So it's not like whatever people want to call me, but people that are meeting me for the first time, I'm just introducing myself as Mary Grace.
good.
Yeah.
Well, that's why I wanted to say it, because ground with grace, when you talk about the handle, I mean, I know you, and the teachers of gratitude are going to know you, but the people that haven't been exposed to you, and what I'll do is I want to get that handle, I want to get your stuff, so if people are interested, they can follow you. So that answers like the solution. Like, when did you know what your purpose was? And here's the thing, like, it's not like, I mean, because purpose shifts and it ebbs and it flows. I mean, I've
Yeah.
wanted to quit this whole thing before. You know what I mean? I'm currently motivated again, but there have been times where it's like, all I want to do is go do landscaping or something. You know what I mean? Let me do something like that. But it's not my calling, like my purpose. Like every time over the past 30 plus years, when it always comes back to yoga, integration, psychology, meditation, spirituality, relationships, and building something. And what I hear you saying is that you're currently in a very similar place. And the first question is, did yoga have anything to do with that moment of clarity where you're like, Mary Grace, that's my grace, ground with grace, and start your evolution, because it's profound, my friend. I mean, I've watched you grow, and it's like happening. And I've watched people a lot of times, and they're like, they kind of flatline forever.
Yeah, I mean, yoga has changed my life 100%. Yoga has saved me over and over again. It's not, it's for a while, it was like these fleeting moments. Like I would practice and I would feel good. And then, I'd vacillate back to like not feeling great. But now it's like this constant, like it's like I'm able to drop in and like really honestly be present. It's so like, it's simple, but it's not easy, right? It's like
Got it. Got
it's
it.
just it sounds, and it is, but it's not easy to bring yourself back to that moment over and over again. I think yoga for me, body is always as a child, I was really good at disassociating from my body. I could pull out of my body anytime I wanted to. I could,
Many do.
yeah. But yoga is it's the opposite, right? You're in your body. You landed back in your body, and like you're merging your body with your breath, with your emotions, with your all the bodies are kind of together in this union and this dance of like presence. And yeah, it is, it's not just the asana. Like for me, like it really is a philosophy. The yamas and niyamas, I live it, I breathe it. The other day the fire the fire alarms went off when I was teaching class, and instead
Oh,
of
I
getting like
saw that.
worked
Yeah.
up, but we
Yeah.
went, it's like santosha, right? Complete acceptance, like
Yeah.
finding contentment with this
That's
moment, with
it.
all the disturbances. And we all went to the parking lot, and people were just, it was great. It was great. The rain sprinkled on our bodies, our hot bodies, and we did a standing figure four instead of prone pigeon. And it was like nothing is good or bad. It
You
just
made the best
is.
of it. I call that the scrappy studio. That place is like people love that fucking place. Like it's what's been created there. Emily, the owner, you guys, all the team, they're like rowing in the same direction. So much so that they go outside, the alarm goes off. They're like, all right, I mean, you might lose
Yeah.
one or two, but other than that, they're like, this is my fucking jam. Mary's my teacher. I come
Yeah,
up,
I got the
she
fire
makes
department too. I'm gonna do a private for them. I was like, you guys, he came in all irritated, and I was like, listen, like this is the practice of yoga. Have you ever tried it? And like by the end of the conversation, he's like, I probably should try yoga. I'm like, yeah, you probably should.
you did it. I just saw your text saying, well, I'm going to get you out of here 10 minutes early, but
Oh, it's all right. I mean, I've been running late all day.
so I mean, we would, gosh, I mean, it was like a freaking 50 minutes filled with just content. I love it. And we went, I mean, although I like to say, I mean, the practice of yoga includes everything. I mean, everything, because the content matter of yoga is you, and no matter where you go, there you are. So it's relationships, it's politics,
Mm-hmm.
it's education, it's relationships, it's everything. And you've gone through that. You talked about that. Um, but if you could say one thing to every person who walks through the door carrying the weight of not being enough, and you kind of touched on that early on, and feeling not enough, so your outward actions to try to get that, but that didn't work. Well, it worked for everyone else because they complimented
Mm-hmm.
you, but it wasn't until recently where you started re-owning some of your shadows, re-owning some of your and owning it like, holy shit, this is what I do. And you're starting to feel more whole now and enough. So you're not going outwards to get it. I mean, how do we articulate that to someone who's like just starting the journey, so to speak?
Yeah, I think for me, and this happened probably in like the last week or two, like I realized like my purpose is to remember who I am, who I've been, and to be that, like to be my genius, like my brilliance, which is unique to Mary Grace. And when I can be that, we talk about the mirror, like I can mirror that to people so that they can find their genius. And I think just reminding people that it's not about being the head on a stick, right? That we talk about. It's like, what is your unique, but it's true. It's just words, but
What
like,
do you mean? I know.
what is it? Like, what is your
Yeah.
thing? Like, when you're in alignment with what's real for you, it's not hard. It's easy. Like, you
It
don't
does
have to
become
be,
easier.
yeah. And
It
so
does. Well,
that's,
not
you're
easy,
there.
like because you said like there's like the feeling piece. Oh my God, we can keep going, and don't get me going. But it's easier. What the way I interpret that is I get stronger. It doesn't get easier, but I get more whole. So now I'm handling what was hard before with more grace.
Yeah. Because when you look at someone in the yoga studio and you're like, they have a perfect triangle, and you try to have that perfect triangle, but your body's more equipped for that perfect side angle, for instance, right? Like we're trying to outsource our genius and our light to other people and then be that. And it's not for us. And like if we could just like figure that out in this world, like if everybody could just unpack and take the onion and peel back all the layers and find like that essence of what's real for them and what they came here to be and be that, like think about it, it'd be lights out in the world if like
Yeah.
everybody was just
Well, of course it
themselves.
would be. And that's why it's not. Because, I mean, if everyone were happy, if everyone had everything, it would be a little different world. So I think a big part of personal discovery, or I wrote number three question was Swadvaya, which is your self-study. Like
Yeah.
you've earned this. And what I hear you saying, and of course, this is a, coffee with Ro about the gratitude way, which is yoga. But in my experience, maybe it's happened, but in my research, like yoga is the common denominator. So you have yogi, you have a great therapist, perhaps a great reverend, a great minister, a good parent, a great lover, a psychedelic experience, travel, like all of these things help. But I believe that the practice of yoga is the hub of all that. Because what I heard you saying is that yoga's kind of been there this whole time. Is it safe to say that yoga is like the catalyst for growth?
I mean, I think it depends on, and of course this is coffee with Ro, and we're talking the gratitude way, but if I'm being real, it's stillness. Like it's just
Yeah.
the ability to get still long enough that you can hear the whispers of your soul. And whether that is through a nature walk, your yoga mat. I mean, for me, it is the yoga mat, it is nature, it's all of it, but it doesn't have to be into this like one thing. Like, I think the beautiful part about yoga is it's a lifestyle, it's a way of being, and you can infuse yoga into your nature walks, into your meditations.
Yeah, that's where my heart goes when you say that. I'm like, like to be still, like that's where what's prior to meditation is the asana, because people can't be still. Their mind is really going, their body is riddled with toxicity
Yeah.
and old vibrations. So when you practice in the way that we do, then when you go to walk with nature, you're just more present. It's more
Yes.
like an affect. So that's what
Yes.
I mean, like yoga being the catalyst. It's not the only thing. I mean, obviously
Mhm.
I love what we do. I know it's not the only thing. But when I work with psychologists, psychiatrists, when I work with therapists, all maintain that their patients, it's like an escalator. That when the ones that
Mhm.
practice yoga more, it just conditions you. In the same way with athletes, we were watching the UNC lacrosse tournament recently, and so Felicia goes, "Ro, look, they're doing cats and cows on the field." Oh
Yeah.
wow, because yoga helps athletics, yoga helps professionals,
Yeah,
yoga helps everything. And
absolutely. Yeah, sounds
uh,
good. Namaste, my friend.
thank you so